I would like to dip my bald head in oil and rub it all over your body.
I've been watching a lot of Seinfeld lately against my will because my older brother has been binging the hell out of it on Netflix. I always knew Seinfeld was a quality show just from catching reruns when I was younger, but now I realize that it's genuinely one of the funniest comedies I've ever seen. It's on a similar level of comedy as the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob in my opinion. One of the main reasons why I like it so much is because of George Costanza, who has become one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. In this analysis, I'll be breaking down the various elements of his personality, which makes him so extremely entertaining.
Well, what difference does it make? Who cares if she doesn't like you? Does everybody in the world have to like you?
Yes! Yes! Everybody has to like me. I must be liked.
Throughout the series, George constantly suffers from a severe lack of confidence, which occasionally skyrockets with some newfound advantage in one of the show's many weird situations. Events like getting into an occasional sexual encounter, or achieving a heightened status through a new job, only to be brought back down to earth by the end of an episode. George simply stays in a state of self-deprecation and humiliation, and much of that humiliation is definitely his own fault. From what I've seen, the show isn't really interested in giving a ton of details to characters' childhoods, and that's to be expected from a sitcom, but the show constantly has George referencing a childhood that would not create a confident person. While funny in the moment, George's passing lines of his parents telling him that he isn't special, for example, are sad and really telling as to why he's become the person he is. Hell, there's even a line where George says he was raised to be a quitter and his family is full of quitters. To hone in on a specific example of his parents' treatment of him, there's a glimpse of his mother's treatment of him in a season 4 episode titled The Contest, where actually, I'ma just let this clip roll.
Hey, George. Hi.
Hi.
What's the matter?
My mother caught me.
Caught you? Doing what?
You know.
After his mother witnesses George getting intimate with himself, she flatly... Yo, I couldn't say that. After his mother witnesses George getting intimate with himself, she practically slut-shames him for something so common. Now, her seeing her son do this very common act did land her in the hospital, so perhaps her snide remarks are a bit warranted, but suggesting he go to therapy over this was a bit excessive. Although, George did display some questionable behavior in the same episode, visiting his mother again and again just to see an attractive nurse undress another female patient behind curtains on schedule every time. I'm not going to do a whole section on George's relationship with sex, but to further hammer in the point that he has such a low opinion of himself, he openly says this.
I don't think I could do it. You know, they always remember the first time. I don't want to be remembered. I want to be forgotten.
This is obviously funny to me, but this is really sad actually. George is and was treated poorly by his parents and bullies as seen in a short flashback, and as a result, he doesn't have much self-respect and also doesn't treat others very well.
Well, hello! I'm O'Brien.
The key way George ends up mistreating people is by constantly lying and making up false narratives to save himself from the embarrassment of his many poor decisions. George is prone to making small or big mistakes in the show's many pretty weird scenarios, but he just can't stand to have the people he cares about know about them, even if at the end of an episode, the rest of the characters just simply joke about his mistakes. It's fine to not want to be embarrassed in front of your friends, but the extent of which he tries to deceive his friends is excessive and more detrimental to his relationships as a whole. A prime example of his spontaneous lying is in the season 3 episode titled The Cafe, where George's girlfriend, which he has had a surprising number of, asks him to take an IQ test. George was never the brightest academically, so while he accepted the request, he didn't really want to since he knew his score wouldn't be impressive. George is unable to say no to people he actually gives a damn about out of fear of disappointing them and embarrassing himself, possibly because subconsciously he doesn't want to disappoint his loved ones like he definitely did for his parents. So to avoid these fears coming to light, he involves his friend, Elaine, on a whole scheme where she'll take the IQ test for him while he pretends he's taking the test at his girlfriend's apartment, which is conveniently at the bottom floor, so Elaine can slip the test back to him through the apartment's window. This lie is brilliant on paper, but has a couple of flaws. While he's supposed to be taking the test, his girlfriend is actually in the apartment with him, and even though he was able to create a phony case as to why he should take the test isolated in the room with the window, keeping his girlfriend out while Elaine's time frame of finishing the test combined with any random reason that his girlfriend would have to go into her own room, made this plan really weak and dumb in all actuality. To seal up all the cracks in said dumb plan, George keeps up the plan with some more on-the-fly, absolutely galaxy brain lies to his girlfriend. My favorite of these lies occurs when Elaine brings back the test but is severely stained from some Seinfeld shenanigans that took place at the nearby restaurant she was taking the test at. His girlfriend comes in the room to collect it, and when she asks him where the stains came from, he says this incredible load of bull.
What? Oh, I spilled some food on it.
Food? What food?
What are you talking about?
Where did you get food?
From my pocket.
Your pocket?
I had a sandwich in my pocket.
And coffee?
Yeah, had some coffee, yeah.
Where did you get the coffee?
Where did I get the coffee? Where do you think I got the coffee? At the grocery store.
How did you get there?
I walked.
How did you get out of the apartment? I didn't see you leave.
I climbed out the window.
You climbed out the window?
Of course.
Why didn't you go out the door?
The door? Why would I go out the door? The window's right here.
You're a fascinating man, George Costanza.
Exactly. George is absolutely fascinating. Why go through all this when it only sets him up for future even greater embarrassment than what he was originally afraid of? If he's so insecure, then why is he so desperate to present and protect an image of himself and constantly set himself up for an unintentionally self-sabotaging cycle of life? A person being highly insecure would usually imply that there's a lack of pride in said person, and while George certainly demonstrates a lack of pride and etiquette for himself, he can actually showcase a pretty prideful and headstrong personality when you least expect it.
Jerk. Oh, you're not?
Believe this guy? Come on, we'll put it in the garage.
I am not putting it in the garage. It's my space.
Because of George's mediocre intelligence and overall meager disposition when interacting with many people, at times he can be ignored and outright disrespected by those in positions of power, like his parents. George's relationship with those who are his superiors is filled with a toxic mix of love and hate, so he can be rather obedient, but secretly be absolutely livid, as seen in the episode where he lets his boss drink poison as payback for the way he treated him on the job. This type of relationship is present in the way he thinks, as he has a set of unspoken rules and morals that he lives by, very rigidly for the most part, that dictates how he tackles situations. If a rule in his life is attacked by someone else, George might actually try way harder than any average person would to win in that situation. A great example of this is in the season 3 episode, The Parking Space, which is, in my opinion, peak fiction. In this, George showcases a level of willpower and mental endurance that is rare to see in people. He defended a parking space, which he definitely deserved, literally from day to night. That is generally some impressive mental dexterity in my opinion. And all of this is because this jerk is trampling over the unspoken parking laws that George follows in his mind. While this is a good example of George's principles, his rigidness is also one of his greatest flaws and further plays into his surprising personality. If George believes something is a good idea, like for instance, his original terrible pitch for a TV show, which damn near got Seinfeld's fictional show, yes, there was a show inside of the show, canceled before it even got started, he will go ahead and probably do it. Despite the clearly negative reactions to his terribly presented ideas, he'll keep going because his inflexible mindset leads to a severe case of his social ineptitude constantly. He just can't read the room for the life of him. This guy will mock at an arrested murderer because he grabbed the last magazine he happened to want. While this is funny, situations like this just make me genuinely ponder whether or not he's socially inept or just bold and unwilling to change to his detriment. How can someone be so insecure and yet be willing to put himself out there on so many situations where what he's doing is considered abnormal, or straight up enforce his odd behaviors onto people? Many of these people are women as well, which also brings up the question, how does this guy get so many girls?
All right, look, you want to have sex right now? Do you want to have sex with me right now? Let's go! Come on, let's go, baby! Come on!
This guy is such a mess, but he has a new girlfriend every few episodes. Hell, he smashed in his workplace with a custodian before, and he was even an accomplice in an affair once. This is actually a bigger mystery to me than his own bizarre personality. I personally think that the writers don't have an answer themselves. Many episodes just start with George simply having a girlfriend, and that's that. Sometimes we'll see an inciting incident as to how he meets a future girlfriend, but that's few and far between. My belief about the writers is kind of supported in the season 4 episode, The Outing, where George has a girlfriend that he wants to break up with, but can't since she threatens to kill herself if he does. While George is easily one of the greatest characters ever written, I can't understand his dating appeal at all in a real life sense, besides the fact that he's funny in the show itself. He was able to co-write a sitcom pilot for a show in the show after all. When George tells his friends about his situation, they are confused for a reason. But then again, the multifaceted, layered, perplexing, and utterly bizarre personality of George Costanza is alluring to me as well, for some reason. No homo. From moment to moment, he's dumb, impressively bold, insecure, devious, lecherous, and just overall a joy to witness.